Hello, friends. Today I am going to read out a book, My Journey Transforming Dreams into Actions, by our former President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So let's begin with the story. Please use headphones to listen. My journey recounts certain unique experiences of my life from my childhood until now, when I am over 80 years old. In all these years and through all these experiences, the most important lesson I have learned is one must keep dreaming at various phases of life and then work hard to realize those dreams. If we do so, then success is imminent. To the many people I met, I always say dreams are not those that we see in our sleep. They should be the ones that never let us sleep. The idea for this book came into me one day while I was walking in my garden. Like every other time, I stood under the grand Arjuna tree, which is nearly 100 years old in age, and I looked up into its branches to see if any new nests had been built by birds or if a fresh beehive had appeared. And something in that moment, as I gazed up at this tree in the city of Delhi, reminded me of intensely of my father. He too was an early riser whose first few hours of the day would be spent I recalled with a smile and a feeling of happiness my childhood, the people who inhabited it, the hands I held while I traversed it. I then also began to think of the journey that my life has been, the unusual paths I have traveled, the things I have seen, the events I have been a part of, and I began to wonder if these memories and experiences should stay with me or if I must share them with my numerous readers and family members whose numbers have been grown as large as the abundant roots of an enormous banyan tree, its great great grandchildren. I have written a few books till date, and in some of them I have described my childhood experiences. When I wrote my first book about my life, I had wondered how it would interest anyone. Unlike in my previous books, my journey focuses more on the smaller, lesser known happenings in my life. The incidents around my mother and father were written because even now, at the age of 82, I still cherish the values and ethics that they lovingly inculcated in me. The qualities they instilled in me, and which I learned from observing them and my understanding their reactions to the adversities they faced, helped me live better, and through these values my parents still live strongly within me. My father, when my father talked about the importance of understanding people's minds or faced difficulties stoically, I remembered His words years later when I was battling various odds myself. In my mother's tender touch and sensitive upbringing of her children, I found a world of love and kindness. I also felt compelled to record in detail the contributions of my sister Jora and her generosity, the openness of the outlook of my first mentor Ahmad Jalaluddin that first encouraged me to think of studying further. Instances such as my failure to qualify for the Indian Air Force and the other adversities I have been witness to have all brought home to me the necessity of setbacks in one's life. Yes, they seem unsurmountable at the time, but there really is no difficulty one cannot overcome if there is determination in the heart. Recently, I was talking to my friend Professor Arun Tiwari when he suddenly asked me an unusual question. Kalam Sahib, can you sum up your life so far in one sentence? It made me think for a while. Eventually, I said, Arun, my life can be summed up in these phrases and words. Love poured to the child, struggle, more struggle, bitter tears, then sweet tears, and finally a life as beautiful and fulfilling as seeing the birth of the full moon. I hope these stories will help all my readers understand their dreams and compel them to work on those dreams that keep me awake. So we move to the first chapter, My Father's Morning Walk. For as far back as I can remember, my father Janulabdin's day began at 4 a.m. He would be up before anyone else in the household. After saying his prayers in the breaking light of the day, he would go on a long walk to visit his coconut grove. We lived in Rameswaram, a small temple town on an island in Tamil Nadu. This being on the east coast of India, dawn would break early, and our day's schedule followed the rhythm of the rising and setting of the sun and the sea waves. The sound of the sea was constant presence in our lives. Storms and cyclones blew by with regularity during the tumultuous monsoon months. We lived in our ancestral home, a fairly large house made of limestone and brick, built sometime in the 19th century. It was never luxurious, but was filled with love. My father had a boat building business. Additionally, we also owned a small coconut grove some 4 miles away from our house. That was where my father would be headed for in the early morning hours. His walking circuit was well established and he rarely deviated from it. First, he would step out from Mosque Street, where our house was located. It was a small, predominantly Muslim locality not too far from the Shiva temple that has made our town famous for centuries. He would then walk through the narrow lanes of the town onto the more open roads leading to the coconut groves and finally wind his way through the groves to his patch of land. Today I try to imagine him walking on those quiet roads long before the day made its many demands on him. Ours was a large family, and I'm sure there were many pressures on him to see to our needs. But that hour, I think of him listening intently to the sea, to the ever present ravens and other birds that swooped and flew all around, woken up by the rising sun like him. Perhaps he said his prayers to himself as he walked, or thought of his family with a calm, uncluttered early morning mind. I never did ask him what went through his mind on this long daily walk, for when does a young boy really have the time to reflect in this way about his father? But I was always sure that the morning walk added something to his personality, an element of calm that was apparent even to strangers. My father was not a person with much formal education, neither did he ever acquire much wealth in his long lifetime. Yet he was one of the wisest, truly generous men I have had the fortune of knowing. Our mosque was the focal point of the locality, and my father was the man everyone turned to in in their hour of need. They believed that he was truly connected to God. I remember going to the mosque to say my prayers with him. He made sure we never missed any of our prayers, and neither did it enter our minds to shirk this duty. After saying our namaz, when we would step out on the road, groups of people would inevitably be there, waiting to talk to him and share their worries with him. What did these men and women say in him? He was not a preacher, not a teacher. He was just a man who lived by his convictions and the tenets of his religion. What did he give them? I now think it was his mere presence that calmed them and gave them hope. He said prayers for them, and many people would offer him bowls of water. He would dip his fingers in them and say a prayer, after which the water would be taken away to be given to the sick. Later, many of these people would come to the house and thank him for having cured their near and dear ones.
Thank you.